So we're up here in Big Fork, Montana today. Ozzy and I came up to the Big Fork Gun Club because we're spending a couple days with Brian Holtmeyer, Steve Davis, the owners of Hammer Bullets. They're nice enough to invite us up, and they're doing some custom loads here for our rifles for hunting season. Ozzy's using 243, I'm using a 300 Winchester mag, and so we're getting a bunch of custom loads. We'll get it on paper, check the velocity, and then get them sighted in. So we're looking forward to this. It's going to be a fun couple of days up here.
So here we are in Big Fork. We're going to reload some rifles. We're going to kind of do it the way we always do it. It's fast and don't know if it's right, but it works for us. Got all of our powders, primers, load books, just everything. Brought it to the range so we can do one at a time and go out and shoot it, and we don't have to load 10 at a time and then drive to the range and then go back and pull bullets and reload. So we got it all set up. We're going to start with the 243 Winchester. Got dies, scale, got a beam scale to double check this scale. We've got a powder trickler that I will dump the powder in and measure each one by hand as we go. Priming tool, calipers, brass, primers of course. So let's get started. Set of 243 Winchester dies, RCBS. This is the sizing die. Cedar dies in here that we will use to seat the bullet. So I'm just setting up to resize this brass. It's new. It's just a habit of mine to go ahead and do every piece of brass so you always have consistent neck tension, which is very important. So what we're doing here is I got the shell holder in, which is a number 3 for that cartridge. I'm going to set this die to where it just touches the shell holder. And we're going to start resizing brass. So I like the Unique case lube. There are several other brands out you can use. I've got my 243 shells lined up. They are Lapua brand, which doesn't really matter. Anything works. We're going to take a little bit of case lube. It doesn't take very much. And we're just going to coat the cartridge. We're going to run it all the way up in and out. So the next process here is just to wipe the case lube off of the cartridges. That process is over. Now we're going to start deburring inside and outside of the case necks. The inside is very important so you don't peel the copper off the outside of the bullets. So I have a nylon brush that we're just going to clean the brass shavings out of the necks to make sure there's nothing in there. We're going to prime some 243 brass now. We're going to use Federal 210 matches, large rifles, RCBS priming tool. So we dump these in here and kind of shake it until they're all the correct way up. Put our primers in here, little tray, and here we go. Make sure they're home. So I've taken out the resizing die and put in the bullet seating die. So we're going to grab a case, preferably without a primer. We want to run that home. We're going to set this down to where it just touches the neck also. That's done. Then we'll back this plug out because we don't want that bullet seated too deep on the first one. We'll have to sneak up on our case overall length once we seat the bullet. So the next process here is going to be to figure out what powder we're going to use, zero our scales, and start dumping some powder. Pulled up some powders, but in the past we've ran Reloader 16. H4350 would work exact same burn rate. So we're going to start with Reloader 16. Fill up our trickler. And we started at 44 grains with another rifle, but I'm going to back it down a grain and we'll start at 43 grains. So the next process is going to be to turn the scales on, get it stable. I'm just pushing on the corners. Turn it on, we're going to zero it. And while it's doing that, I've already set the beam scale up so that it's dead zero. Zeroed. So we're going to start at 43 grains. There it went to 43. We're going to set this to 43. This one here is going to move around a little bit. We just dump it into the beam scale just to verify. Might help if I set that on a 4. That's zeroed out, so we'll make sure we grab a primed case. Set that on top. Dump the powder. So the next process is going to be to seat the bullet. Set that on top of the cartridge. So we know we're way long. Now we've got to figure out case overall length. So we're going to go to the gun to do that. Just want to measure the max overall length. So it looks like we're 294, so we don't want it to get close in there. We'll go like 292 for starts if we can reach that far. We want at least 3 drive bands of this bullet in that case neck. This bullet is short enough that we're not going to make the full case length, or that will fit tightly in the magazine. So this bullet's going to have a lot of room in the magazine, which is not an issue at all. So the next thing I'm going to do is look at the bullet. This bullet has 4 drive bands. Okay, we want a minimum of 3 of those in there. So we're going to seat that bullet to where it hits that second drive band on top. And I will just play with the seater plug until I get there. There it is. So then we just need to measure that. So we are 2.709. And we will log that in the book. So we know the first one was 43 grains, and we know that pressure was safe, so we're going to take it on up. We're going to go up in 1 grain increments. So here we go to 44. And there's our second round, 44 grains of Reloader 16. Back to the bench.
Back out to shoot again. So the first thing we do when we get a gun that's new to us, whether it's brand new or used or whatever, is go through the gun, make sure the scope mounts and everything are tight, action screws are tight to torque spec, and clean it. Make sure there's no residual copper or anything left in it from previous loads. So that's what I'm going to do with this rifle now, is take it apart and we'll get her put back together. That fat wrench, that's a good tool to have in your arsenal. It's a little torque wrench, and then we can torque to spec. So the action mounts here, we're going to torque those to 25 inch-pounds. You just make sure that we don't have any loose there. So no gain there. Tiny bit of gain. So now we feel good there. The scope rings, they have a little play in that slot. We want to put those forward in the slot and then torque those down. These guys are going to go a little heavier. We'll go about 40 inch-pounds on those. Now we're just going to swap this guy over here, and we're just going to check our action screws here and just make sure that they're good and snug. These ones I'm just kind of going by feel. We just want them nice and snug. Just a basic little level kit. We're going to set that on the rail here where we've got a nice flat spot to level against. And we'll level our rifle. So it's just carefully back and forth to get that thing matched up. You can see as you go back and forth side to side, you get just a tad more out of each one until they finally quit turning. It's concentrated copper, lead, powder, and plastic remover. It's not too harsh. Some of them are very harsh. If you don't run the right amount of time in the barrel, or you run too long, you can actually damage your gun. So this stuff, you know, we're going to run 15 minutes, and then swab it out and see what we got. You know, and if it's not clean on that one, then we'll repeat. A big part of the reason we do this is the copper fouling that's left in the barrel from other bullets. When you start putting one copper on top of another, it can cause some weird issues sometimes with pressures and things like that. So we want to start over. Anytime you're switching from one bullet to another, it's just a good practice to get the old bullet out of the gun and start fresh. Not too bad. A little bit of purple, but not bad. So purple would indicate copper. And so I think we're probably going to get this done in one cleaning. When they pull out big gobs of purple goo, you usually know we're in for a chore. We'll run one more patch through that and I think we'll probably have it. Little bit left on there, we'll run one more. We can live with that. See if we can get this chronograph to read. So, we should have a cartridge here somewhere. I bet it's inside yet. There's our first cartridge. We haven't checked it in the chamber yet, so the first thing we're going to do now is check and make sure that we're not hitting the lands. Make sure it fits in there without any trouble. So we'll just close that in. Oh. So I'm just going to look at the bullet and see if it's making any witness marks from the lands. And I didn't think we would. It's kind of a short little bullet, so we're in good shape. Let's light a fire under this one and see what happens. All right, let's see if we can get a hole in the target. Here we go. Okay, so we got our velocity, 32.25 on the first shot. That's good. It's nice and low. It's several hundred feet lower than we were hoping to get to. Like to start nice and low though. This way we can feel the rifle as we go up and feel those pressure changes, those pressure signs show up. So now I'm going to pull that bolt lift. It's nice and easy. Cartridge comes out nice and easy. It's a nice mild load. So we'll work up from here. Let's go find pressure. So we climbed quite a bit, up to 3387. That's a very nice load. Figured we come down to check the target since the range is cold. First 2 shots, even on a brand new clean bore, 1 grain increment, this gun's gonna shoot. I feel good about this one. So we'll keep working up our load. .34-37. So something else I was going to say, you notice our setup here. It's just a simple rear bags and a front rest. It's adjustable, but we don't use a lead sled. They're very popular. They take out the recoil, but they do mess up where the gun shoots, and they're hard on your gun. So advice: get rid of the lead sled. Shoot off the bags. It's better for the gun, and it'll give you a better indication of what the gun is doing. All right, reloader 15.5. Let's see if we can do better. Oh yeah. We're out of space again, but we got 3850 almost. That's fantastic. We'll load up a few of these and see if it keeps a good extreme spread and how well it shoots. There you go. So a nice steady squeeze. Jumped all over. Nice squeeze until it goes up.
That felt better.
Yep. You were
It was
still
definitely
you were still
different.
quick on it though. $33.70.
Wait, you went for 34.
Light guns.
But that sounds like that's max.
Yeah, without trying another powder, but that's good. That's good speed.
Yeah, if you guys want to start over with a new powder, there's a new shooter.
We had problems with we had MROs on our SWAT team, and they were having some of that thermal drift out, and so we got rid of it.
On.
Yeah, shooting good. You got a nice load.
I think I hit the exact same spot as the second shot.
I like the
It's dead between them.
Yeah, I mean that's
So you've got a 1/2 inch group.
yeah. I think that's good, man.
I'd say we're here at the range. We're going to do some gel testing. We're going to gel test the 199 grain Hammer Hunter against a very well-known, highly reputable long-range hunting bullet. We've loaded up a brand new 300 rum Browning Hell's Canyon 8 twist. We loaded both bullets to basically a pretty hot load, a top-end load that we could get out of them and be reasonable on the brass. So we're going to start out by shooting the competitor bullet, and see how we do in the gel. We're shooting at 100 yards, and both rifles are zeroed dead on at 100 yards, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so everybody knows we've checked the hollow point on this bullet to make sure that we've got a full hollow point. We'll just go from here straight into the gun. We'll see what happens. Okay, fire in the hole. Okay, we had a successful hit. Okay, so our second block held up. It's perfect. Nothing made it to it. That's good, because we're going to run short on blocks. Our wood table took a beating. Very interesting. Okay, should have brought a tape measure. We'll go get a tape measure and do some measuring on this. But this is the entrance side here. You can see it went in, oh, it looks like 2 inches or so, and then really opened up very well. You can see that's a very massive wound channel. And then what, about 10 inches in or so, then our permanent wound channel stopped, and you can see the retained shank ended right at the end of the block. I'd say that's very good performance for that bullet. That's what it's supposed to do. That's good. We really wanted to see a perfect performance from that so that we can compare our bullet to it. Very nice. Okay, so now we're going to shoot the 199 Hammer Hunter. No need to check the hollow point. These are always open. So and this is starting out at a muzzle velocity of 3460, correct? Okay, fire in the hole. Let's go see what happens. There's a hole in that second block, I can see it.
Came out the top.
Oh, it did come out the top right there. It's hot. There we go. Very nice. That went in roughly about the same 2 inches. Started its expansion. You can see the shed pedals coming off. Tracking along, there's a shed pedal that stopped here. Another one and another one. A few more pieces that stopped there. And right about what,
30 inches?
30 inches? We'll have to get a tape measure on this. Permanent wound channel stopped. Bullet just exited out of the top of the gel right here and stuck in the magazine. There's the retained shank. That's what we're after, a nice square flat front with that nose shed off. You can see how long that permanent wound channel lasts. Very good, nice comparison. Okay, we're going to do a long range simulation test. We're using a 30-06 this time with a 9-inch twist barrel. Same two bullets, the 199 grain Hammer Hunter and the 215 grain Competitor. We're going to shoot the Competitors first. We've already verified that we're on the dot at 300. So I got my little paper clip again so we can verify that we've got the hollow point open in the bullet. There we go. So we'll put that in there. Target muzzle velocity with this one is 2200-ish, give or take. Yeah, we're at 300 yards on this target. So we're trying to simulate an impact velocity of, about 1900 feet per second. So that would be a good simulation of a long range hunting shot. 2157 muzzle velocity. Oh my, look at that piece of lead that came out down here. Yep. I think that's the core of the bullet right there. That's the lead core. And then that's the jacket.
Splitters.
It tumbled. The nose is left off, broken off right here.
But the bullet looks forward. Tumbled again here. See how it widens? That's what it's
Did
doing.
it separate core? Because there's a,
I know. I
what's
can't
this
figure out
down
what
here?
it
There's a
is.
little piece that came down here. And then there's that guy right up there.
Yeah, but look at the wound channel there. To nothing. To nothing. It's tumbling. That's exactly what it's doing.
And the nose broke off here. But it doesn't look like it tumbled. It looks like it bent over and broke off. Is what it looks like. So it didn't make any wound channel until 9, 10 inches of penetration. And then at that point, there's a pretty good wound channel for 5 inches. Say the width of that channel, it's kind of narrow from the top, but kind of wide down here. So it's about 2 inches wide. And then the shank of the bullet stopped back here. Okay, we okay to stab it out?
Yeah.
So a chunk of the lead in the front half of it is probably what we're seeing down there in the block. It's stiff.
It's hollow. Well, there's a little bit of weight to
I
it.
think there's still some left in the base. Chunk of lead. So when that nose, looks like when that nose folded, the lead peeled out the side, and that was the lead from the front half of the bullet. Interesting. Okay. I guess those results speak for themselves. Since these blocks aren't really cheap, this second block from the first test there, it has very little damage. We're going to turn it around backwards where there's no impacts here, and we'll use it as the second block to catch on the hammer test here. We're going to run the hammer now. Same distance, the 300-yard low velocity impact test. Same rifle, 9 twist 30-06. Here our target muzzle velocity is 2,300 feet per second, looking to get the same impact velocity as we had with the 215 grain bullet. So let's see if we can hit it. Okay, fire in the hole. That's a good hit. 2233. That's the impact we were looking for. Oh, it's low. We're hoping for 100 feet faster than that. That's going to be a good low velocity impact. Yeah, so deformation again starts at 2 inches in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can see the petals peeling off.
Yep.
One even made it to here, and the main shank still went on through.
Yeah.
So we've got 24 inches of penetration.
Permanent wound channel to the end of the first block.
17.
17 inches of permanent wound.
And still opened at 2.
And opened at 2 inches. So another thing I wanted to point out in this, that bullet came in, expanded 2 inches in, create permanent wound channel to about the 17-inch mark. The retained shank then went, another 8 inches. With no tumbling, that bullet stopped, pointing straight forward, square on in the front of the shank. Exactly the performance we asked out of our bullet at high or low velocity. Without the scale here right now, I bet if we weigh this one compared to the one that impacted at the 100 yards, that retained shank has exactly the same retained weight. Let's dig this one out. Pretty good. A little bit of peeling on the edges, but still pretty square. I can live with that. So here's the high velocity impact versus the low velocity impact. Same shank, just a little more squish. Now that we're done doing the testing and seeing what we saw in the gel test, the high velocity impact testing was good. Both bullets I thought performed to what they were designed to do. The hammer had great penetration, and the competitor bullet had massive wound, but didn't penetrate very far. Pretty classic for what the bullets are designed for. And then our low velocity testing was quite interesting. The hammer did as we expect. Initiated expansion at 2 inches in, shed completely the nose, had, 17, 18 inches of full penetration with petals tracking along with the retained shank. without any tumbling, retained shank, stopped, point forward. The competitor bullet took, I forget, 8 inches of penetration before it showed any kind of disruption of the bullet. The nose peeled back and broke off, and then shed the lead core from the jacket, and both stopped just into the second gel block. And go dead on the rock. Fire in the hole, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, I saw the impact.
Yep.
Fire in the hole, you ready?
Yep. Lower and to the left.
It looks like I was dead under it, but I was low.
That third shot was almost identical to the second shot.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's very close to hitting that rock.
Yep. You're right.
Very close. Yeah, that rock's hard to pick out. It's not as white now.
That's too dirty.
Okay, fire in the hole.
Okay.
Same spot. The only difference in that video was the hammer trail.
Could you see it?
Oh yeah, perfect hammer trail.
It looks like it hit exactly the same spot.
It did.
Okay, same wind hold again.
Okay.
So this is our Swiss style lathe where we make hammer bullets. So this is the sub spindle, which catches the bullet after it's been basically made and then finishes it on the boat tail at the base on this tool. If you look into the back of the machine, see all the drills there? Those are drills for different size hollow points. That does the drilling. You can see the copper rod coming through the main collet there. That is actually spinning. That's the Z axis for anybody that's familiar with Z and X axis. So the copper rod moves on the Z while it's spinning, and then the tools, they just move on the X. So what that does, here where the profile tool is, can you see that? That guy, when it's cutting, it's right up next to that collet, so we don't get any tip deflection, keeps the shape of the bullet always the same. It's an ingenious deal. So if you look here, this is actually the main spindle. This is what holds on to that copper, spins it, and feeds it. So that's the kind of the main power plant. And down here, this is the bar loader. So this is where the raw copper is loaded, 12-foot lengths of copper. And that rod drops in. It's got a push rod with a free spinning spindle on it that keeps pressure on the rod. And that whole rod spins and just feeds in until it's done. When it's done, it comes out, ejects the remnant, and then it kicks a new one in on its own, measures the length of it, and starts cutting again. It's very cool. This unit down here is a high pressure coolant system, and that is a very neat thing. That increased our production capacity by 40%, mainly in the drilling. It's through, easy for me to say, fluid through coolant in the drills. We went from taking 20 to 30 seconds to drill a hollow point down to less than a second to drill a hollow point. Went from 2,000 holes on a drill to 20,000 holes on a drill. It was a great deal. And that's more or less it. You know, if we come around the whole machine, to the back side of the machine, you can see the coolant lines, and this is the big coolant reservoir. It's holding, I don't know, 60, 70 gallons of coolant, and that is always recycling. And then the scrap or the chips that come off come up the chip elevator to here and then dump into a bin, and that's my little oil catcher when we have the waste oil that gets caught and re-put back into the system. Another cool thing, we run mineral-based oils, so no petroleum, any of that kind of stuff. Nothing that's nasty for the environment around the shop or anything like that. So that's kind of our deal.